This is Gregory Shelton with Historic Living, Modern World. Today I'm in Philadelphia at East Falls Glassworks. I'm here to see a friend of mine, Jean Joseph, who is an amazing glassblower. I'm here because she's going to be making a gift of handmade glass for a friend of mine. I cannot wait to see what she comes up with. Hey Jean, how are you doing?
Hey Greg, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Welcome to Philly. Welcome to Glassworks, yeah.
So this is one of the places that you make this glasswork.
Yes, yeah.
Very nice. Wonderful facility.
Yeah, it's a great studio, great people, and you know,
show me where you work.
Stuff.
Do it.
Okay.
So Jean, so you have an interesting drawing here, which every project plan needs a kind of a diagram. Mm-hmm. So what were you thinking on the custom-made rocks glasses?
Okay, so basically what we do is we have our simple rocks glass. We're going to do a layer of white first on the cup, and then we're going to mix either red or yellow in. So we'll do one of each.
Okay.
And then we'll, at the end, after we transfer the punny on, we will have a black lip wrap that comes on the top just to solidify everything and cap out that lip.
Gotcha. So we're going to have two glasses, and as I mentioned to you on the phone in the initial sketch, we're really trying to represent the Maryland flag, which are the colors black, yellow, white, and red, which again, you've done some amazing thoughts when it comes to their bizarre color schemes.
Sure.
But for two rocks glasses, this to me is going to look really, really great. Really colorful, very rich, and it's exciting to see.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Good.
Thanks.
Great. Yep.
Jean Joseph is easily my favorite glassblower. She's also a multidisciplinary artist that graduated from the Tyler School of Art in Philadelphia. Jean's been a professional glass artist for 23 years and is always a favorite at the maker events that I produce. I commissioned Jean to create something special out of glass that would make a great gift for a special friend. And as always, she knocked it out of the park. I was truly blown away at the amount of skill and steps it takes to create a piece of glass artwork. But Jean makes it all look easy. All right, so Jean, where are we now in the process?
Right now, we're getting the color for the inside of the cup. So it's a layering process when you're doing color. So I'll pick up a bunch of white here.
Okay.
And we'll melt that all in. And this will turn out to be the inside of the cup. So when you look in the cup, you'll see the white. You'll see some of the other color on the outside as well. But now we're just melting it in.
And is that a creative concept that you're doing? Because you can do a flat, I guess, if you want to.
Oh, you can do anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. You can do stripes, you can do different colors, you can do rainbows.
And you're creating a layer to create the thickness of the body of the cup.
Yep. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to marver this. So you see all the little pieces, all the little chunks? We're just going to melt them in, get them all nice and smooth, so we can gather some more glass on top of this. You want to keep your shape somewhat like a Q-tip.
Okay.
Just makes the heat more even, and it makes your gather a little more even as well.
So this process is an in and out, obviously, because you're building a layer and it cools down quickly, right?
It's cooling down very fast, yeah.
Wow.
You wouldn't think this thing cools down, and it's all relative. It's still very hot, but it's not hot enough to manipulate it.
Gotcha.
So we'll marver one more time.
Now, Jean, when we talk about the history of glassblowing, I know that this started with, I believe, a Syrian was the first guy to consider blowing glass.
Yep.
What type of time frame are we talking?
1st century BC.
Damn. Okay.
Yes,
so we're
very old.
Talking really
Very old, yes. So the Romans adopted a lot of the processes, and you'll hear about the Roman glassblowers that have been around for centuries. And they really perfected the art of it and the
so that's
and
where
the
it
craft.
That's where it initially came from. It still is that today, I would imagine.
Yes, yep.
Do you find artists go there to learn?
Oh yeah. The biggest concentration of glassblowers is in Murano, Italy, on an island off. So they moved the glassblowers to an island so they wouldn't burn down the city.
So when we talk about the best glass, everyone always refers to Murano. So
Yeah.
that's a place as opposed to a group of people.
Yes, it's a place, but it's where the best glass blowers in the world exist. They all are a Murano, and they do some amazing work.
And it's not because of the minerals that they're pulling from. It's just the
The
guys.
experience. A lot of them start when they're very young. Like instead of playing on the ball field, they play in the glass studio as kids.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How interesting is that? Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to gather another layer on top of this.
Okay. And this is just nothing but melted glass in
This
there.
is clear, yep.
Wow, it stays melted because it's so hot.
Yep.
Wow.
We're going to pick up our red over here. And it sticks to it because it's hot. That glass in the tray is cold, but it's going to stick to this bit of glass because it's super hot. See, it picks it up just like Jimmy's on an ice cream cone. So we'll melt this in. We'll go back to the marver. That steel table over there is called a marver.
Okay.
They used to use marble, and marver is the Italian word.
Ah, okay.
Little fun facts.
So when we talk about glass blowing back in the BC time frame, I'm assuming they're just getting the hottest fires they can possibly get.
Yeah, they had slaves to keep their fires burning.
Just burning as hot as possible.
Yes. Yeah, they would stoke the fires quite frequently and keep them going.
Wow.
Now we're just melting all that in, getting a nice spiral effect as we go. We want to keep a bubble inside there to keep it nice and even, so you can kind of see how it's blowing out at the top. It's getting a little more bubbly, a little more bulbous. That's where your air is inside.
And is that because you're still forming the cup, or just because you don't want it to fall, or?
Both.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Interesting. Wow. Now, when you're adding color like you did, I'm assuming these are just glass chips.
Yes.
Yeah. So
glass
they're
chips.
pre-made glass chips.
Yep.
In uniform like pieces, right? So
Yep.
when you made that when you're dipping them in, I'm assuming you could tactfully place them in if you. Really
You
wanted
could
to.
absolutely. Sure. You could draw out a pattern on your table and roll in that and create any kind of design or shape you want.
I think the idea of loosely designed feels natural and beautiful.
It does. When you try to be too contrived and too linear about it, it doesn't want to do it. It's a very fluid material. It wants to move and really form its own way.
When you're glass blowing, are you able to stop in a moment and pick back up in an hour, or is it has to constantly go?
Nope, you're in the moment. It's the only thing that requires your complete concentration while you're doing it.
Okay.
So it's a pretty exciting and interesting medium in that respect. Blow, please. You'll watch the bubble move down to the end, and it'll start blowing where I've manipulated to blow. Stop.
And I'm assuming the bubble helps you guide it too.
Sure does. Yep. All of this is part of the shape and how you get a good even wall on your glass, per se. So I have a set of calipers here. I'm just going to check. It's getting there. Another blow up, and we'll get her going.
So I really look at some of the tools that you have. You mentioned how the tools that you're using today are very similar to what they would have built or millions of years ago. These are things that the skill set really drives how you use those tools.
Yes, it does.
Because these are basic.
Yes. These are basic and known pretty well across the board.
Right.
Stop. So I'm just going to start flattening the bottom of this cup. So right now I'm building the bottom.
Okay.
And we'll transfer it and then do the lip. So right now we're forming the bottom of the cup. you can control where you put the heat. So right now I'm just concentrating the heat on the bottom of the vessel.
Okay.
So the rest of the walls that I already have made will be a little more set up so they don't get all screwy and
gotcha.
Swimmy.
So when Phil was blowing in, how did you make sure that it keeps the inside of the glass the same thickness, or does it happen almost
That's all
by accident?
in your setup.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That happens all in the setup of it. Blow, please. Glass has a memory. Stop. So if you, what you do in the whole process, it'll remember throughout the piece. So if I dented the side of this and made it flat, you'd have a thinner spot in your wall of your glass at the end of your piece. So you have to be really careful and conscious of what you're doing while you're making it, because it will remember that and you will fight it the entire time.
And I'm assuming that's what sets the men from the boys when you look at a finished piece, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. We call it being wonky. It has a different thickness.
Sure.
So there's some technical terms involved and some not so technical terms. So you can see where the heat is in this piece. It's all at the very end. You can see how hot that is.
And the color's a little lighter.
Just from the color, yeah. You have to be careful not to press too hard or we'll push the bottom of the piece in too hard. It's kind of a gradual effect. Do that again. Crispen that up a little bit.
It's interesting, you mentioned that you're utilizing beeswax in this art, as a guy who's also a beekeeper. It's amazing how many uses beeswax is in all technical.
Honey is the perfect food, as I'm sure you know.
It is.
So.
And, cabinet makers still use, beeswax for waxing different things, and it's just a great thing.
Yeah, fabric dyers use it in batik, and
So you mentioned this was a piece of cherry wood. So
yes.
That paddle is not going to cause any problems when it comes to the sap side of things, right?
Right, exactly. So it's a very clean burning wood. Any other wood would scar the glass and put black lines on it, and you don't want that. You want to keep your glass pretty pure.
Gotcha.
Do that one more time.
When you think of you as a glass blower, and you've been doing this for 20-some years, 22 years, 23 years?
23 years,
23 years. What's, from your skill set and what you've become, what are some of the signature things that makes Jean Joseph Glassworks?
I'm just super fluid. I like a lot of color.
Okay.
I don't know. I like things to be loose. I'm a Pisces, so I like things to flow. So I really like the natural elements of what glassblowing gives you and allows you to do. That being said, I do other things that are a lot more rigid, but this allows me to be a little more free.
I get you.
So that's kind of what makes me.
There's an uncontrolled skill set here that you're able to have to harness, right?
Yes,
to make it
exactly. So I'm going to hand this off to Phil to flash for me, and I'm going to make the punny so we can transfer that and make the other side. So this is called a punty, and it's a transfer, a way to transfer it. The way this is it acts as an anchor. So you have this glass on the end of this solid rod. You have this nice shape that will allow for a good transition point and a good knockoff point. Okay, I'm going to heat this. I'll flash first.
So basically, the way that's done is because you're adding that to the bottom of this, right? And you're flipping the handle.
Yep.
Basically.
So he's going to come right in here, right behind you. And he's going to come in. Yep. We're going to stick this right on the end. Okay. Pull this on and pull back just slightly. We're going to turn, make sure it's on center. Still pretty warm.
Wow.
Just going to give that another second to set up. Feel good?
Yeah.
Good? All right. I'm going to put it out of water on that jack line as a fracture point, creating stress in that one area, and it just comes off. Okay?
Wow. Very cool.
There?
Very cool.
Okay.
So you successfully
Will you grab a black
flipped
bit
the
for me?
sides.
What's that?
You successfully flipped the side, so now you're at the bottom of the glass, right?
Now the punty is on the bottom. Now I'm going to do the lip.
Gotcha.
So we're going to add that black lip wrap now.
Very
Phil's
cool.
going to make a bit for me. I'll work on evening this out while he grabs that bit. Yeah. So that'll become where you drink out of.
Gotcha. Behind you.
Black. Yep. I grab another little bit of glass, please. Yep. Perfect. Yep, you can go right in the black. Thank you. Just gonna check out how on center we are. We're looking good. All right. Coming right behind you. It's good. Just heat that in. I gotta come back. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so you'll heat that in, give it a good once on the marver, and then bring it to me. Okay? Get a good flash. We have to keep the whole piece hot, or else the tension will happen on that one point right here, and it'll just pop off. So we have to keep everything nice and
Even.
warm. Okay, give that a good heat. Bring it over. Straight up, yep. So angle out toward you. Yep, thank you. It's not hot enough. Heat that for me, please. So you can see it's super tricky. Let me flash. Okay, go ahead. Real hot.
Hot stuff.
Another way to keep this warm is to heat the back of this punny so that heat will transfer. Yep. Beautiful, yeah.
So you have to give that lip something to stick to. So you let it sit out a little bit ways, huh?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. Now when we melt this in, we'll melt it in and we'll open up the lip and it'll be nice and even around the rim.
Neat. Very cool. Very cool.
So the one thing in glassblowing is there's 100 ways to do something, to do the same thing, and people all have their own unique techniques of how to do all these things.
Right, but you have to go through it to understand the shortcuts, right?
Yes, you do. Yep, and you develop all those things over time. So to try and pick up the skill in a matter of months is nearly impossible.
Sure. When you're making projects or you have a gallery or something, sometimes you need to crank these things out. It's
right.
not just savoring every moment. You got to get moving, get going.
Exactly.
Do you have a favorite? I'm sure everyone asks you this, but do you have a favorite glass blower that you kind of watch?
Yes, Davide Salvador is one of my all-time favorite people, and I love him dearly as a friend.
Okay.
I get to see him once a year.
And where's he?
He works in Murano. He's from Italy. Yeah,
wow.
So he's been around forever, and I love his work. He's a brilliant glass blower.
Wow.
Can you paddle next time? Thank you. I mean, I have a lot more, but he is one of my all-time favorites. Okay.
I know Dale Chihuly gets a lot of press for what he does.
And he's great. He's awesome too. He made it possible for glassblowing to be mainstream. Stop. He's a great marketer. He's a marketing genius. And he really made art glass a thing. He and a choice few other people made art glass in the 60s come to life.
I went to go to on a business trip out in the Midwest.
Yes.
And they had a Chihuly sculpture in the middle of their garden, courtyard.
Nice. Yep.
And it was like a red, almost like a red octopus. It has the big things, and it was pretty impactful.
Yeah,
very flashy.
Yeah, he's like one of the masters, and he has a ton of people working for him, which is amazing. So here we're just shaping the outside of the glass, making that wall nice and straight. So you can see I still have a little bump in it, so I'm going to heat it one more time and try and straighten that out. And I tend to be a perfectionist, but not too much of a perfectionist. I like a little character.
Movement's not bad, right?
No, movement's great. It's all about fluidity, and you know, we're human, so.
So we see that. So we know the. I'm assuming the color here is red.
The color's red.
So when will we see the actual color at the end after it's cooled?
After it's cooled down.
You just know it's going to be red.
Yep,
Right?
you just know it's going to be red. Yep. So there we have it. We're going to knock this off, and it'll cool overnight, and you'll have a glass.
Wow, beautiful.
Good morning.
Oh, I love it. So beautiful.
So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right?
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Wow.
So here we just like to even out the heat. Right now the lip is super hot. You can see the color in that is glowing more red than the rest of it.
Right.
So we want to even out the overall heat, so you know everything.
Yeah.
So everything is cohesively cooling at the same time. So it's very important. Otherwise, you'll get what's known as slumping in the oven, where part of it will move and the other part doesn't. So it'll just bend over like that, and you don't want that.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely beautiful. Wow.
So then we take a dot of water on that same stress line here. You'll hear it sizzle a little. There we go. Just going to do a couple for extra insurance. We're going to come over to the knockoff table. Go. Oops.
Good.
A little bit more on there, please. Here. I got you. Really want to melt that in. Yep. Perfect. Great. Thank you.
And what color will that end up?
That's yellow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it looks orange now. Just
No, for sure. Yeah. That's awesome. So we finally received our glasses back from Gene Joseph. I got a chance to see them today, and I'm really blown away. I'm even more excited to show you what they look like. Check these babies out. The color's beautiful, and they're thick, they're substantial, and I love them. So as you know, I mentioned my friend and I both were born and raised in this fine state of Maryland. So we are both have an affinity for the Maryland state flag, which is red, black, white, and yellow. So when I talked to Jean about trying to do something in glass that would kind of meld those two, this was her interpretation of that Maryland flag, which has beautiful color. I absolutely love them. So the look is really beautiful. The thing I wanted to talk about quickly is how substantial these things are. We're not talking about frilly, thin little glasses. These are beautiful rocks glasses that I tell you are so substantial that you could probably drop them and they would be fine. So they're really made incredibly well. They're one of a kind. And to me, when you're buying a gift for a special friend, you always want to go out and do something really, really special. Gene did that for me. I can't wait to send them to my friend. I think he's going to absolutely love them. If you enjoyed what you see today, make sure you click like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. This is Gregory Shelton with Historic Living, Modern World, reminding you, whenever you do something, always work to move people. Cheers.